you're an introvert like me and you don't know how to go about networking to advance your career or to get a job, watch this entire video. I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks you need in order to become a better communicator and land that opportunity that you want. So I know a lot of you probably are told by a bunch of different people that you need to network in order to advance in your career. You need to network in order to get a job. Networking is super important in terms of professional development. Um, but when you're an introverted person, it's pretty hard to think about how you're going to communicate with people, how you're going to network, what even is networking. So I'm going to give you some of the tips and tricks that I used to kind of work around um, networking and get better at communicating and meeting different people. So the first thing we're going to start with is LinkedIn. Obviously, for an introverted person that doesn't want to go outside and meet different people and network that way, LinkedIn is a great place to have access to the most amount of people in a professional setting, right? So first and foremost, I believe that LinkedIn Premium is an amazing investment if you're trying to advance in your career somewhere, if you're trying to get a job somewhere. I think that LinkedIn Premium is a great investment to make. It's a pretty steep price, but I think it's a great investment and has a great return on investment for the opportunities that you can get through it. With that, you're able to send unlimited messages. So obviously, you're not going to be restricted in that sense, and you can message anyone you want. So there is a couple different approaches here. The first approach is obviously you can just cold message as many different people you can, asking for, like coffee chat or even for like any openings, referrals, things like that. But in my opinion, the best way to go about messaging somebody on LinkedIn is to find a connection um, in order to have a good conversation with this person. Um, so this is for all my people that are in college still or graduated from a college. I think that one of the easiest ways to connect with somebody is being alumni from the same school. I think this allows you to have that genuine connection of that person understanding the type of coursework that you went through, the type of student that you probably were, depending on your GPA, and kind of just allows them to have a reason to respond to you. When you just get a cold message on LinkedIn, most people aren't going to have any interest in responding when they have no value, when they believe it has no value for them, right? So when you're an alumni and you have that connection, I think there's a much higher chance of getting a response and leading to a good conversation that could lead to something further, right? Um, and this is an aspect of networking that people probably don't talk about a lot, which is using LinkedIn to make actual genuine connections. Now, the next type of people that you want to message on LinkedIn are people that are working on projects or at companies that connect with what you're working on. So if you're working on a side project that's similar to somebody else that you see post on LinkedIn about the project they're working on, that's a great way to connect with somebody to say, hey, I'm working on something similar to you. I'm really interested in this idea, and I would love to talk to you about it. That's one great way to connect to somebody. And then especially with smaller or startup companies, you have a much higher chance, obviously, of making a genuine connection with one of their co-founders, a lead engineer, when you are building something that they're working towards. Now, this one may be a little bit out of the comfort zones for introverts, but I think it's a great way to break out of your shell and to practice communicating. There's a lot of different conferences around the country. There's usually one within every state has a local conference. So I think a great idea is to go to one of those conferences and set a goal for yourself. Maybe talk to 3 to 5 new people each day. Introduce yourself, and that way you're just going to get better at giving your elevator pitches, communicating with those people, and overall just expanding your network, right? This is obviously when you think of networking, this is something that it's a pretty obvious one, and it's just trying to expand the amount of people you know in that career network, obviously. Um, and especially for me, like I'm super introverted, and I do not like going out and meeting new people. But when you set a goal for yourself in smaller increments that's realistic like that, I think you have a much higher chance um, of being able to attain a goal like that. So I think conference is a very good place to meet like-minded people that could be interested in the same thing as you. A lot of you probably have friends that are going into different fields or different professions, but that doesn't mean that your network just has to stop there, right? There's friends of friends, there's colleagues of colleagues, there's people that know people that know people. That's how you expand your network, right? Um, Getting to know people that you know closely and just making a connection through there is always worthwhile. So ask your friends if they know anybody that's trying to work towards the same profession as you, trying to work towards the same goal, has the same interests, things like that. That's also a great way to start expanding your network. Um, and then this leads me to my next point. These are for people that are already working at a job or working at a company. So I can't stress how important it is to expand from not just within your team, but to other teams and other disciplines, even if it's not, let's say you're a software engineer, even if it's on the business side, there's always worthwhile making a connection there outside of your team, because it could lead to something else in the future, right? And that's kind of how you cast your net wider, in terms of networking. Um, and for any of you that are in a hybrid role, I can't recommend enough going into the office and meeting as many new people as you can, working closely with the people that you work with, and just, that leads to a better connection, obviously, right, than just talking to them over a computer screen. Um, and I can't stress how important it is also to bond outside of work in a normal setting with these people. Um, that also builds a much stronger connection, in terms of future opportunities and things like that. Now, when people say that networking is so important for getting a job, I think what they really mean is how important it is for getting your foot in the door, to have the opportunity to show a company, a manager, um, the opportunity to show what you can do and prove why you can be a valuable asset, right? A lot of the times, networking is not just going to get you the job, but it's going to get you the opportunity to get the job in the future, right? You're always going to have a leg up on somebody that's just cold applying, even if their resume is that much better, when you know somebody that knows your manager, or somebody, within the company that can vouch for you. You're always going to have a leg up in that sense. And especially when that connection is strong and it's not superficial, and in the sense that they just know who you are, um, so much higher of a chance of making it into that role, right? At the end of the day, I know all of you introverts out there, you're probably like, it's impossible for me to network, it's impossible for me to get a job, I can't do this, I can't do that. But at the end of the day, there's so many different ways to go about networking. Um, and I really, truly do believe that if you put your mind towards something, you can really attain it. And through genuine connections, that's how you really advance in your career. Obviously, I'm still at the early parts of my career, but I've learned so much through the job application process, and through this first actual job, working in person every single day. How important it is to build connections with your colleagues, your managers, people in other teams, people in the entire company in general. So please put down if you guys have any of your own tips that you use personally for networking. I would love to read them. I'm sure that everybody in this community would love to learn, as well. And yeah, let me know what other videos you guys want me to make. I'm also just going to be posting some random vlogs on here, probably just of this new lifestyle that I'm living, post-grad here. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe, follow my Instagram below. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.